The Ztellanium Paradox, a new short story. smmstories.com/the-stellaniums-shadow. Copyright Sod Maki Muhilden 2023. An Ordinary Day in Veridia. The Vidiian Skyline, a forest of gleaming spires stretching towards the cosmos, shimmered in a symphony of lights. Ztellanium, the planet's lifeblood, was at the heart of this technological marvel, pulsing through the veins of skyscrapers and powering the city with its ethereal glow. As dusk fell, casting elongated shadows across the metropolis, Dr. Elias Varon stood on the observation deck of his laboratory. His lean figure, framed against the cityscape, was a stark silhouette of contemplation. The warm breeze tousled his dark hair, not enough to distract him from the weight of his thoughts. Dr. Varon interrupted a voice, pulling him from his reverie. A fellow researcher, Dr. Marcus Klein, approached, holding a tablet aglow with data. The latest from the extraction site. Elias turned, accepting the tablet. Numbers and graphs detailed the latest yield of Ztellanium, but behind each figure, he saw the hidden cost of progress. The Ztellanium fueling the dictator General Zorak Arklite's regime was a double-edged sword, granting power and inviting oppression. Exiting onto the bustling lab floor, Elias entered a world of relentless scientific pursuit. A holographic globe of Veridia dominated the lobby, Ztellanium deposits highlighted in radiant blue. The lab hummed with the collective efforts of researchers dedicated to untangling the mysteries of the element. Elias moved through the corridors, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. The potential of Ztellanium was immense, but so were the risks. Its scarcity, fiercely guarded by factions loyal to Arklite, made their work all the more critical. Inside the lab, a kaleidoscope of advanced instruments hummed. At its center stood a towering Ztellanium container, its contents swirling like liquid diamonds. The sight was awe-inspiring and sobering. Dr. Varon, Lyra's voice broke through his thoughts. "You need rest." "I know, Lyra. But the people," Elias began, his gaze fixed on the shimmering Ztellanium. "Your health is just as vital," she insisted. "The work can wait." Elias knew she was right, but the thought of the city's abundant spires, built on the backs of the suffering masses, urged him on. The stark divide between the wealthy elite and the impoverished majority fueled his resolve. He had to continue for them. As he immersed himself in his research, Elias couldn't shake off the unease. The Ztellanium's erratic nature was a constant challenge, its secrets locked within its crystalline structure. The task was daunting, yet he couldn't falter. A sudden alarm pierced the air, cutting through the hum of the lab. A containment chamber's integrity was failing. The Ztellanium within it reacted unpredictably, threatening disaster. "Evacuate," Elias ordered, rushing to the console. His colleagues retreated, but he stayed, frantically adjusting settings to stabilize the reaction. Watching from a safe distance, Dr. Lyra Mendoza called out a potential solution involving a targeted energy pulse. Despite the risks, including a temporary power outage, Elias agreed. It was their only chance. Working with Lyra, they initiated the pulse. The facility plunged into darkness, the chamber shum dying down. When the emergency lights flickered on, Lyra announced, "The reaction has stabilized." Exhausted but relieved, Elias leaned against the console. "Thank you, Lyra. We did it together." As the lab returned to its rhythm, Elias pondered the road ahead. Despite the setbacks, his dedication to unlocking Ztellanium's potential for the greater good remained unshaken. For the people of Veridia, for the future, he would continue, bolstered by the support and collaboration of his team. In the quiet aftermath, amidst the faint hum of machinery, Elias Varon prepared to delve once more into the mysteries of Ztellanium, driven by determination and the unyielding belief in a better tomorrow. The solitary scientist of Veridia. In the remote, undisturbed corners of Veridia lay the secluded home of young Elias Varon. Here, amid the sprawling wilderness, Elias grew up in an unusually silent and solitary environment shaped by choice and circumstance. His world was primarily defined by the four walls of his home and the endless natural expanse surrounding it. The reason for this isolation lay in a past marred by a childhood incident. Elias, once a school-going boy, had faced relentless bullying from his peers. The torment had been enough to compel his parents to withdraw him from the traditional school system. Seeking to protect their son, they turned to the technology of their time, a robotic tutor, fashionable among the elite but rare in its advanced capabilities. This machine, more a guardian than a mere tool of education, became Elias's window to the world, his companion, and, inadvertently, his barrier from it. The home was quiet, save for the soft whirring of the robotic tutor as it navigated the space. Its presence filled the silence, screen, and speakers, a constant interaction source for Elias. The stillness of his surroundings was often broken by the tutor's synthesized voice, delivering lessons or engaging in programmed conversations designed to simulate social interaction. Elias's introspective nature flourished in this setting. He found himself often lost in thought, his curious mind wandering beyond the physical confines of his home. His observations and questions about the world were directed at his mechanical companion, who responded with pre-programmed knowledge and artificial empathy. The robotic tutor did more than educate Elias academically, it ignited his fascination with science and technology. His early experiments were not just school projects but endeavors of deep personal interest. They were conducted under the watchful censors of the tutor in a makeshift lab at home, where Elias spent hours tinkering, exploring, and discovering. This isolated upbringing, paradoxically, nurtured Elias's innate brilliance. His discovery in Ztellanium research was a product of this unique environment, a breakthrough with the potential to revolutionize energy production on a galactic scale. His research into the rare element was driven by an intense passion, a pursuit he undertook with unwavering dedication, often losing track of time as he delved into the depths of scientific mysteries. Elias's groundbreaking work soon caught the attention of the broader scientific community. His reputation as a prodigious researcher began to grow, drawing admiration and recognition. But with this acclaim came the interest of a formidable figure, General Zorak Arklite, the dictator of Veridia. Arklite, a man whose presence commanded respect and fear, saw Elias's work with Ztellanium as an opportunity for exploitation. The dictator envisioned using the element to expand his dominion, a means to tighten his grip on power. The ethical dilemma of his work's potential misuse weighed heavily on Elias. The realization that his research could be weaponized starkly contrasted with the intentions of his solitary pursuits. He was torn between the pride of scientific advancement and the fear of contributing to a reign of tyranny. The pressure intensified as Arklite's surveillance grew more invasive. Elias, once comfortable in his solitude, now felt the intrusive eyes of the dictator on him at all times. The sense of being watched, analyzed, and controlled was unnerving, a stark deviation from the freedom he had known within the confines of his home. As Elias grappled with these challenges, his robotic tutor, his oldest companion and confidant, stood by, a silent witness to his internal turmoil. The realization dawned on Elias that his peaceful life, surrounded by machines and AI, was about to change irrevocably. He stood at the precipice of a conflict that would thrust him into a far more complex and daunting world than he had known. In the shadow of power. The air of Veridia had grown thick with oppression, the once vibrant streets now echoing with the hushed whispers of its citizens. Under the iron fist of General Zorak Arklite, the cityscape had transformed into a surveillance and control network. Eyes, both human and mechanical, watched from every corner, instilling a perpetual sense of fear and tension among the populace. In the heart of this controlled chaos stood the imposing office of General Arklite, a stark embodiment of his rule. The room was adorned with symbols of power, flags bearing the emblem of his regime and walls lined with displays of military conquests. At the center sat Arklite himself, his graying hair a deceptive sign of age, belying the intense vigor with which governed. His eyes, sharp and penetrating, seemed to see through the very souls of those who entered his domain. In this den of authority, Arklite first learned of Dr. Elias Varon's work with Ztellanium. Reports of Elias's groundbreaking research had reached him, stirring visions of military might and unchallenged power in his mind. The potential of Ztellanium, harnessed for warfare, could elevate his regime to unprecedented heights. Arklite, a master of manipulation, saw in Elias a tool to be wielded. He summoned the scientist, his intent concealed beneath a veil of benevolence. But his words were laced with subtle threats, each sentence a carefully placed trap to ensnare Elias in his grand design. Elias, acutely aware of the danger he now faced, grappled with the moral implications of his predicament. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily upon him, the knowledge that his life's work could be twisted into an instrument of war casting a shadow over his thoughts. In a tense encounter in Arklite's office, the general demanded Elias's full cooperation. The air crackled with tension as Arklite exerted his authority, his voice a cold command that brooked no opposition. Elias, trapped in the gaze of the dictator, felt a sense of helplessness envelop him. Elias tried to resist, to reason with Arklite. He spoke of the potential for peace, for using Ztellanium to better the lives of Veridians, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Arklite dismissed his concerns with a wave, his expectations clear: complete obedience or severe consequences. Resigned and defeated, Elias reluctantly agreed to work under Arklite's surveillance. The burden of this decision lay heavily on him, knowing that his research might bring devastation and constant torment. The atmosphere around Elias grew increasingly tense and oppressive. Every conversation was monitored, every movement watched. The fear of retribution hung in the air, thick and suffocating. The once collaborative spirit of scientific endeavor had been replaced by suspicion and paranoia. Elias found himself more isolated than ever, his interactions with colleagues now strained and cautious. The extent of Arklite's reach was all-encompassing, leaving Elias feeling entangled in a web of power and control, his every action potentially sealing the fate of countless lives. Uniting stars. In the heart of the research facility where the future of Veridia was quietly being shaped, Lena, an assertive administrator, moved with a confidence that commanded respect. Her role in managing the facility's operations was pivotal, ensuring the smooth flow of scientific endeavors. Her sharp eyes missed nothing, and her practical approach to problem-solving made her an invaluable asset. Elias first noticed Lena amid a complex logistical challenge, her calm demeanor amidst chaos piquing his interest. Their initial interactions were brief yet intriguing, marked by a mutual curiosity about each other's expertise. While Elias was the contemplative scientist lost in his world of theories, Lena was the grounded administrator, always focused on actionable results. During a particularly challenging phase of his Ztellanium research, Elias sought Lena's advice. Hesitant at first, he approached her with his dilemma. Her insights, pragmatic yet innovative, surprised him and deepened his admiration for her intellect. They discovered a shared love for the cosmos, both scientifically and poetically. Their mutual passion for stargazing became the bridge between their worlds. Many evenings found them on the facility's rooftop, eyes turned skyward, discussing the universe's constellations and mysteries. Their conversations drifted from professional to personal in these moments, revealing shared values and dreams. As they spent more time together, their connection grew, evolving beyond the confines of the research facility. They found solace in each other's company, whether in the library's quiet immersed in literature or in spirited debates over dinner. A heartfelt conversation one starlit evening marked a turning point. They spoke of hopes and dreams on a secluded bench in the facility's gardens. Elias shared his vision for a world powered by Ztellanium, free from the grip of tyranny. With equal passion, Lena spoke of her desire to see a Veridia where knowledge and innovation were used for progress, not power. In this exchange, no longer unspoken, their feelings for each other came to the surface. It wasn't long before Elias, his heart brimming with love and hope, proposed to Lena. The moment was simple yet profound, marked by joy and a sense of destiny entwined. Lena's acceptance was a beacon of light in Elias's life, illuminating a path filled with shared dreams and aspirations. Their wedding, a modest yet beautiful ceremony, was attended by friends and colleagues. It was a rare moment of celebration in an otherwise oppressive world, a testament to the love and support surrounding them. As they embarked on the journey of parenthood, the joys and challenges of raising a familiar and uncertain world became their new reality. The birth of their child was a testament to their enduring love, a symbol of hope in a time of growing unrest. Despite the shadow cast by Arklite's regime, Elias and Lena found moments of happiness and solace in their family life. Their home was an oasis of love and laughter, starkly contrasting to the world outside their door. One evening, as they reflected on their shared experiences, they expressed gratitude for each other's presence. The challenges of their work and the oppressive political climate seemed more bearable with the strength they drew from their union. In the quiet intimacy of their home, Elias and Lena found comfort and strength in each other's embrace. Their relationship was a sanctuary where they could be vulnerable yet find strength. Together, they faced the adversities of their professional lives with unwavering support for each other. Lena's practicality complemented Elias's idealism, creating a balance that helped them navigate the complexities of their world. Flight from Veridia. Veridia had become a planet divided, its once peaceful streets now echoing with the turmoil of war. The conflict between General Arklite's regime and the Araxes coalition had escalated rapidly, casting a shadow of violence and fear over the world. The air was thick with tension, punctuated by the distant sounds of sirens and gunfire, as the regime's iron grip tightened in response to the growing resistance. Amid this chaos, Elias and Lena faced a harrowing decision. With their newborn son cradled in their arms, they resolved to escape the oppressive grasp of Arklite's rule. Their determination fueled their desire for a better life, a world where their son could grow up free from the specter of war. The couple worked with quiet urgency, preparing for their departure. They gathered supplies of essential documents and made discreet inquiries about safe passages. Every step was taken with meticulous care, understanding that the slightest mistake could cost them their freedom or worse. Elias and Lena moved like shadows, evading the ever-watchful eyes of the regime. They communicated in hushed tones, their conversations a mix of fear and resolve. The need to remain hidden dictated their every move, each step forward weighed down by the fear of being discovered. As they ventured through the city, the urgency of their mission grew. Close calls with patrols and checkpoints turned their escape into a nerve-wracking ordeal. Vivid sensory imagery painted a picture of chaos, the blaring of alarms, the rush of adrenaline, the stifling sense of fear as they narrowly avoided detection. The streets of Veridia, once familiar and safe, had transformed into a landscape of danger. Elias and Lena witnessed scenes of violence and oppression, reminders of what they were leaving behind and why their escape was necessary. The sight of armed soldiers and the sound of crying families etched a deep scar in their memories. Amidst the chaos, Elias and Lena grappled with a maelstrom of emotions. The fear of leaving their home, the uncertainty of what lay ahead, and the overwhelming instinct to protect their child created a torrent of anxiety and doubt. Yet, the resolve to seek a better life for their family remained unshaken. Their journey was tense, especially as they navigated through heavily monitored checkpoints. Each encounter with regime patrols was a dance with danger, their hearts pounding as they relied on quick thinking and sheer luck to avoid capture. Throughout their harrowing escape, the bond between Elias and Lena proved to be their greatest strength. They supported each other, their shared determination to protect their family fueling their courage. In moments of despair, they found solace in each other's presence, their love a beacon in the darkness. Amidst the uncertainty, Elias and Lena occasionally questioned their decision to leave. The familiarity of their old lives tugged at their hearts, but the vision of a free and peaceful future for their son guided them forward. Finally, after an eternity, they reached a safe location outside the city. The contrast between the oppressive atmosphere of Veridia and the tranquility of their new surroundings was stark. Relief washed over them, mingled with hope for the journey ahead. The escape from Veridia. In the dim light of their modest living quarters, Lena pored over the blueprints of the research facility. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, traced the maze of corridors, identifying the weak points in their security. She knew the surveillance patterns like the back of her hand. Each camera's blind spot a beacon of hope in their plan for escape. As Elias tended to their newborn son, Lena's mind was a whirlwind of strategy and foresight. She whispered her plans into the stillness of the room, her voice a blend of determination and concern. She shared her insights with trusted colleagues in hushed tones, gathering critical information about the political turmoil outside. The conflict between General Arklite's regime and the Araxes coalition had escalated, and Veridia was a planet on the brink. Lena had established a network of allies within the facility, their covert nods in the corridors aslant testament to their solidarity. These unsung heroes would play a crucial role in their escape, their willingness to help a ray of light in the darkness of Arklite's rule. Creating false identities was a meticulous task. Lena crafted each backstory carefully, ensuring every detail would withstand scrutiny. The forged documents lay hidden, their existence a secret that could mean the difference between captivity and freedom. Their preparations were thorough yet unassuming. Supplies were gathered bit by bit, each item a puzzle piece in their plan. Travel permits, ration packs, and the few personal belongings they dared to take were stowed away in nondescript bags. The key to their escape lay in a small, unremarkable spacecraft secured with the help of a sympathetic engineer. Its capability to evade detection was crucial, a silent ghost against Veridia's sophisticated radar systems. Lena chose the day of their departure with precision. A major military operation was underway, Arklite's forces preoccupied, their gaze turned outward. It was during this chaos that they would make their move. The route to the spacecraft was a labyrinth of shadows and silence. Lena had memorized every turn, every checkpoint to avoid. They moved under the cover of darkness, their steps light, their breaths shallow. The oppressive atmosphere of the facility weighed heavily upon them, each moment stretched taut with the risk of discovery. To ensure their escape went unnoticed, a diversion was set. A minor but significant malfunction in the facility's power grid, enough to draw attention but not enough to cause panic. It was their window, brief and fleeting. Packing was a sad affair. Each item was chosen with purpose, their belongings a reminder of the life they were leaving behind. Elias's eyes met Lena's in silent conversation, a shared resolve fortifying their spirits. As they rehearsed their escape, the movements became a dance of survival. The timing was everything. A moment too soon or too late could unravel everything. Lena briefed Elias one very detail, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions. Their allies' signal was subtle but clear the night of their escape. The facility's lights flickered, a prelude to their moment of action. With their son nestled securely against them, Lena and Elias stepped into the corridor, their hearts a symphony of hope and fear. They navigated the facility with practiced ease, slipping past guards and dodging surveillance. Lena's planning was impeccable, and her adaptability was their guiding star. Every corner turned, and every door passed was a step closer to freedom. The spacecraft sat waiting as they reached the designated rendezvous point, a silent promise of a new beginning. They boarded swiftly, casting one last look at the world they were leaving behind. Lena piloted the craft with deft hands, guiding them into the starlit expanse of the night sky. As Veridia shrank behind them, relief and apprehension filled the cabin. They were free, yet their journey was beginning. In the vastness of space, under the watchful gaze of 1,000 stars, Elias and Lena held each other close, their future unwritten but their resolve unshaken. Betrayal at Araxis. As the spacecraft descended onto Araxis, a world away from the turmoil of Veridia, Elias, Lena, and their son looked out with anticipation and hope. They had dreamt of sanctuary, a fresh start away from the clutches of General Arklite's regime. The sprawling landscapes of Araxis, with its serene cities and lush greenery, seemed to promise a future they had longed for. Awaiting them was the administrator of the Araxis coalition. She was a woman of stern demeanor, her appearance meticulous and commanding. As they were escorted into her office, the family felt relieved. Perhaps here, they would find the understanding and safety they sought. The administrator, with a practiced smile, greeted them. She appeared sympathetic as they shared their harrowing journey from Veridia. Elias and Lena spoke of their hope for safety, their desire to live in peace, and their wish to provide a better life for their son. The administrator listened intently, nodding with what seemed like genuine concern. However, as the conversation progressed, the administrator's questions grew increasingly probing, particularly regarding Elias's research on Ztellanium. Her interest in the technical details of his work hinted at something more than mere curiosity. The atmosphere in the room shifted subtly, the undercurrent of her true intentions beginning to surface. A moment of tension hung in the air as the administrator's demeanor shifted, her questions taking on a sharper edge. It became evident that her motives were aligned not with their safety but with the potential value of Elias's research for the Araxis coalition. The family, realizing they had traded one form of captivity for another, felt a wave of shock and confusion wash over them. Their fate was swiftly decided. Elias, Lena, and their son were taken to a refugee camp on the city's outskirts. The center, surrounded by high fences and guarded by armed personnel, starkly contrasted the freedom they had envisioned. Their dream of sanctuary had turned into a grim reality. The conditions in the camp were dire. Overcrowding, scant resources, and the constant watch of guards created an oppressive atmosphere. The sense of loss, the stripping away off-tier freedom, was palpable. The camp was a sea of faces, each bearing the mark of similar stories of despair and betrayal. Elias and Lena grappled with a maelstrom of emotions. Anger at the betrayal they had faced, despair at their predicament, and a growing sense of hopelessness clouded their thoughts. The world they had hoped to leave behind seemed to have followed them, its shadow lingering even here. The refugee camp doctor emerged as a beacon of hope in this bleak environment. She offered comfort and support to the family, her kindness a rare solace in the harshness of the camp. Her presence relieved Elias and Lena, a reminder that compassion still existed even in the darkest places. Despite the oppressive conditions, the family found resilience within themselves. They navigated the challenges of the camp, finding small moments of solace in each other's presence. Their bond, tested and strained, remained a source of strength. Amidst the bleakness of their situation, Elias and Lena clung to their determination to survive. They held on to the hope for a better future, a flicker of light in the overwhelming darkness of their current reality. Life in the shadows. The refugee camp, a sea of makeshift shelters and desolate faces, stretched out under a relentless sun. Overcrowding was rampant, with families crammed into tiny, stifling spaces. The scarcity of resources, water, food, medical supplies, was palpable, and a pervasive sense of hopelessness hung in the air. The refugee camp doctor was a rare source of solace in this harsh environment. She moved through the camp with her calm demeanor and warm, empathetic eyes, offering what comfort she could. She was a beacon of hope in a landscape of despair for Elias, Lena, and their son. The family found an unlikely friend in her. Despite the overwhelming demands of the camp, the doctor dedicated herself to their son's care, her efforts a testament to her commitment to healing and comfort, even in the face of scarcity. As days turned to weeks, the health of Elias and Lena's son deteriorated. Each cough and feverish sleepless night was a blow to their hearts. Helplessness enveloped them, the sight of their child's suffering more agonizing than any physical wound. The emotional burden within the camp's confines was immense. Elias and Lena grappled with guilt over their son's illness, grief for the life they had lost, and the heavy weight of their current reality. Their conversations, once filled with plans for the future, now revolved around survival and comfort for their son. Their relationship, though a source of strength, began to show signs of strain. The constant worry for their son and the traumatic experiences they endured created unspoken tensions. Yet, in their shared moments of vulnerability, they found solace in each other's presence. The refugee camp doctor worked tirelessly, her medical tent a sanctuary amidst the chaos. She scrounged for medicines, used her skills innovatively, and provided care beyond physical ailments. Her presence was a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, humanity and kindness could thrive. The camp's environment was grueling. The heat was oppressive, the noise unending, and the air thick with the scent of too many people living close together. Yet, in this setting, the family found small gestures of kindness and moments of connection with fellow refugees, each sharing in the other's plight. Their gratitude towards the doctor was profound. Her efforts brought medical relief and a sense of normalcy, a reminder that they were more than just refugees, they were individuals deserving of care and dignity. Life in the camp settled into a routine of sorts. Days were spent in queues for food and water. Nights in restless sleep, punctuated by the cries of the sick and the wild. Every day was a battle for survival, for maintaining a semblance of hope in a place designed to extinguish it. The emotional toll was evident in Elias and Lena's weary faces. They clung to moments of joy, a shared laugh, a game with their son on better days, like lifelines in a sea of despair. Their determination to stay strong for their son never wavered, even as his condition grew more concerning. The hope that the doctor could provide some relief and comfort was a fragile thread they clung to. A disparate alliance. In the confines of the Araxis refugee camp, life was a daily struggle for survival. The camp was a sprawling expanse of makeshift shelters, where overcrowding and limited resources wore heavily on its inhabitants. Despair hung in the air, palpable in the refugees' tired eyes and slumped shoulders. Amidst this grim backdrop, the refugee camp doctor was a ray of hope. She moved through the camp calmly, her warm eyes offering solace to those she tended. For Elias, Lena, and their ailing son, she was more than a medic, she was a lifeline. The family's growing friendship with the doctor was built on mutual respect and gratitude. Despite the camp's limited medical supplies, she provided the best care possible, often improvising with the scant resources. As the days passed, the health of Elias and Lena's son worsened, casting a shadow of despair over the family. Watching their child suffering, the couple grappled with feelings of hopelessness and grief. The camp, with its oppressive atmosphere, only amplified their anguish. The strain on their relationship grew as they faced the harsh realities of camp life. They leaned on each other for support, yet the unspoken tensions and shared trauma began to take a toll. The doctor did what she could, offering medical care and a listening ear. She became a confidant, sharing their fears and frustrations. As she treated their son, the limitations of Thecamp's resources became painfully apparent. She knew that to save him truly, something more drastic needed to be done. One evening, under the dim lights of her makeshift clinic, the doctor made a decision. "I can't help you escape," she whispered, a sense of resolve. "It's the only way to get your son the care he needs." Elias and Lena listened, stunned. The plan was risky: to smuggle the family out of the camp in a small cargo ship, one used for transporting medical supplies. It was their only chance, a fleeting opportunity for a life beyond the camp's fences. The atmosphere in the camp grew tense as the day of their escape approached. Every interaction was fraught with danger, the fear of discovery ever present. The family packed their few belongings, their actions cloaked in secrecy. The doctor coordinated the escape with precision. On the day of their departure, she led them to a secluded part of the camp, where the cargo ship awaited, hidden from prying eyes. The air was thick with anticipation as they boarded, their hearts racing. As the ship lifted off, Elias and Lena held each other and their son close, the camp disappearing beneath them. They were filled with relief and apprehension, their future uncertain but their resolve unwavering. Captured in the cosmos. Once a beacon of hope for Elias, Lena, and their son, the cargo ship now drifted through space, its cramped quarters echoing with unease and tension. The family's escape from the horrors of the refugee camp had brought them here, into the vast unknown, searching for a new beginning. But as they huddled together, the uncertainty of their future loomed ominously. Their journey, orchestrated by the refugee camp doctor, had been a desperate bid for freedom. Though unsuited for passengers, the medical supply ship was their only chance escape. Every shudder and groan of the vessel served as a stark reminder of their precarious situation. This fragile semblance of safety was abruptly shattered when a pirate ship, ominous and menacing, emerged from the void of space. It loomed threateningly over the cargo ship, a predator ready to pounce. Panic erupted as the pirates, armed and ruthless, breached the transport, storming through the corridors with terrifying efficiency. Chaos ensued as passengers screamed and scrambled for cover. Elias's heart raced with fear, his mind reeling at the realization of their vulnerability. His knowledge of Ztellanium, a source of pride and hope, had become a beacon for danger, attracting these lawless hunters. Amid the commotion, the pirate captain made his entrance. Charismatic and authoritative, he commanded attention, his gaze quickly finding Elias. Clearly, the pirates had come specifically for him, recognizing the value of his expertise. With swift and brutal efficiency, the pirates rounded up Elias, Lena, and their son, herding them away from the other passengers. The family's fear was palpable as they were taken captive, the reality of their dire situation setting in. The pirates wasted no time with negotiations or demands. Their actions spoke of a singular purpose: to seize valuable assets like Elias and eliminate potential threats or witnesses. The pirates moved through the ship with cold precision, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. As the pirate ship detached, leaving behind the now silent cargo vessel, Elias and Lena held each other and their son close. The horror of what had transpired was overwhelming, the brutality of their captors a stark new reality. Among the stars and shadows. Aboard the pirate ship, a world shrouded in lawlessness and danger, Elias, Lena, and their son found themselves in a starkly different reality from anything they had known. The captain of this motley crew was a man of charismatic and rugged features, with a roguish charm that masked his formidable nature. He recognized the value in Elias's knowledge of Ztellanium, seeing it as a lucrative asset in the boundless expanse of space. The living conditions on the ship were filthy and cramped. The constant hum of the engine, combined with the noise of the crew, created an unrelenting cacophony. The air smelled oven-washed bodies and engine grease, a stark reminder of their dire situation. Essentials were scarce, every meal a reminder of the precariousness of their existence. Amidst this chaos, the family struggled to adapt. Fear and uncertainty were their constant companions, compounded by the continual threat of violence from the pirates. Yet, they found strength in each other, their love a fortress against the chaos. The pirate crew, curious and opportunistic, saw Elias as a prize. They employed cunning tactics to extract information about his Ztellanium research. Their questions were probing and relentless. Protective of his knowledge, Elias held steadfast, refusing to let his research be used for harm. Tensions between the family and the pirates flared, with moments of defiance from Elias and Lena punctuating their captivity, a declaration of their unbroken spirit. These conflicts, though fraught with danger, were testaments to their resilience. In these dark times, the family found small moments of solace. Tender exchanges between Elias and Lena, comforting embrace with their son, and whispered stories of hope were their acts of rebellion, preserving their humanity in a world that sought to strip it away. Amid the trials of captivity, a heartbreaking development unfolded. The health of their son, already fragile, deteriorated rapidly. An untreated infection, worsened by the lack of medical care, led to permanent brain damage, leaving the child disabled. The helplessness and despair that engulfed Elias and Lena were profound. Watching their son suffer, with no means to help him, was a torment like no other. Their resilience faced its most challenging test yet. Despite the adversity, they protected each other, their determination to survive unshaken. They clung to semblances of normalcy. Sharing sparse meals, engaging in quiet activities, creating pockets of peace in a turbulent environment. Elias's value as a target became increasingly apparent to the pirate captain, leading to heightened tension and pressure on the family. The captain's interest intensified, his inquiries more pointed, the atmosphere charged with newfound tension. Negotiations between Elias and the pirate captain were fraught with danger. Each interaction was a careful balancing act, protecting his family while navigating the precarious dynamics of their captor-captive relationship. Bound by circumstance. The mercenary attack on the pirate ship had been swift and decisive, a calculated strike by forces hired by a powerful corporate entity interested in Elias's expertise. In the aftermath, Elias, Lena, and their son found themselves not in the hands of liberators but under the control of a new form of captivity. Without ceremony or compassion, the mercenaries escorted the family directly to Selim, a planet that operated under the corporation's influence. Selim, a hub of scientific advancement and technological wonders, presented a facade of peace and order. But for Elias and his family, the beauty and tranquility of the planet were overshadowed by the reality of their situation. They had been brought here not as guests but as assets. The corporation clarified its expectations. Elias was to work for them indefinitely. His knowledge of Ztellanium was too valuable to be squandered. They argued that his and his family's rescue from the pirates warranted this demand. Elias had no choice but to comply, his family's safety hanging in the balance. The family settled into their new accommodations on Selim and grappled with their complex reality. The living quarters provided by the corporation were comfortable yet constantly reminded them of their indebtedness and lack of freedom. Elias was soon immersed in his work, the corporation ensuring his skills were fully utilized. Long hours at the research facility became his new norm, leaving Lena to tend to their son, whose health continued deteriorating. The strain on the family was palpable, their son's condition worsened, a heartbreaking symbol of their helplessness in the face of corporate control. A sense of isolation marked the family's interactions with other residents of Selim. While the community was engaged in innovative work, the knowledge of the corporate oversight cast a shadow over every encounter. Despite the challenges, Elias and Lena strived to maintain a semblance of normalcy. They explored the wonders of Selim and participated in community events, attempting to carve out a space of comfort and routine amidst their circumstances. Their trust in the director of the research center was cautious. While he appeared supportive and committed to scientific progress, the underlying corporate agenda was never far from their minds. The emotional toll of their situation was heavy. The long hours Elias spent at work, the stress off their son's failing health, and the constant reminder of their obligation to the corporation strained their resilience. Tragically, their son's health reached a critical point. Despite the advanced medical care on Selim, his condition, exacerbated by the lack of timely treatment and the stress of their ordeal, led to his untimely death. The loss was devastating, leaving Elias and Lena enveloped in grief and despair. Fractured paths. In the aftermath of their son's tragic death, Elias and Lena's world was steeped in grief so profound it reshaped their relationship irreversibly. They moved through their shared home like shadows, each lost in a personal labyrinth of sorrow. The silence between them grew dense, punctuated only by the echoes of their unspoken pain. Their attempts at conversation became exercises in futility, with each word widening the chasm that grief had carved between them. Elias found refuge in his work, immersing himself in the lab to escape the relentless grip of his heartache. The research that once united them in purpose now served as a barrier, distancing him further from Lena. Lena, engulfed in her solitude, retreated into herself, processing her grief in isolation. The distance from Elias, both emotional and physical, became a wall she fortified with each passing day. Once a haven of love and shared dreams, their home now felt like an echoing hall of their lost hopes. Elias's attempts to bridge the gap only seemed to push Lena further away. He reached out, longing for the solace they once found in each other, but his efforts were met with a resistance born of deep-seated hurt and disillusionment. A tumult of emotions tore Lena, her heart still aching with love for Elias, yet she was consumed by a need to heal on her terms. Her journey of self-discovery led her to seek understanding and comfort outside their marriage. Frustrated and confused, Elias grappled with the changes in Lena and their strained relationship. He began to realize that before he could attempt to reconnect with her, he needed to confront and understand his grief. Their final conversation was a culmination of their unspoken grievances and unshed tears. In a moment of raw vulnerability, Lena expressed her pain and resentment. She blamed Elias for the decisions that led to their son's deteriorating health and untimely death, for the burden off their escape, and for the life of constant fear and uncertainty they had been forced to endure. The decision to part ways was as inevitable as it was heartbreaking. Acknowledging that their paths had irrevocably diverged, they chose to separate, a decision marked by profound sorrow and a faint hope for individual healing. As Elias and Lena embarked on their separate journeys, they faced the daunting challenge of rebuilding their lives. Each grappled with the loneliness and longing for a past that could never be reclaimed, yet there was a determination to find a way forward, to heal and grow beyond the shared tragedy. In the depths of desolation, Elias sat alone in the dimly lit room, the air heavy with a somber atmosphere that mirrored the depths of his grief. The walls of his home, once echoing with the laughter of his son and the warmth of family life, now stood silent, a stark reminder of his profound loss. Every corner of the house was a testament to his son's presence, now painfully absent. The reminders were constant, intensifying the ache in Elias's heart. His attempts to engage in his work at the research center were futile. The passion and focus that once drove him had evaporated, leaving behind a void where his purpose used to be. His reflection in the mirror was that of a man changed by sorrow. Elias's physical appearance had deteriorated, mirroring the emotional turmoil within. The lines on his face seemed more profound, and his eyes, once bright with intellect and curiosity, now bore the weight of shed tears. The blow came unexpectedly but not surprisingly. Elias received news of his termination from the Ztellanium Research Center. The words of the dismissal letter blurred before his eyes, each sentence deepening his despair. He felt cast aside, a failure not only in his personal life but now in his professional world. Elias's reaction was one of complete breakdown. He crumpled to the floor, the letter slipping from his trembling hands. The walls of his home seemed to close in on him, the overwhelming weight of grief and loss pressing down with unbearable force. In the days that followed, Elias withdrew from the world. He avoided social interactions, and his friends' attempts to reach out were left unanswered. He neglected his well-being, and his life was reduced to a series of aimless days, each indistinguishable from the last. His daily routine became a somber pilgrimage through the empty streets of Ztellanium. He wandered without direction, lost in his thoughts, a solitary figure consumed by sorrow. The city's vibrant life around him felt distant, as if he were moving through a world to which he no longer belonged. A poignant scene unfolded as Elias visited his son's grave. Kneeling before the small marker, he allowed himself to confront his grief fully. Words of guilt and regret spilled from him in a quiet, heart-wrenching monologue, his tears soaking the ground. In his despair, Elias turned to self-destructive behaviors. Nights spent drowning his sorrows in alcohol became frequent, and he neglected his health, a physical manifestation of his inner desolation. Haunting dreams of his son plagued him, vivid flashbacks that jolted him awake, gasping for air. These visions only served to deepen his emotional turmoil, each one a cruel reminder of what he had lost. Elias grappled with crippling self-doubt, questioning his worth and his ability to make a positive contribution to the world. He felt adrift, untethered from the life he once knew. It was in a moment of quiet realization amidst the depths of his despair that Elias recognized the need to confront his pain. He understood that he had to face the darkness that had enveloped him to move forward. Seeking solace, Elias found himself drawn to the natural beauty of Selim. He spent hours sitting by a serene lake, the tranquility of the water offering moments of peace and clarity. Nature's unspoken language spoke to him, reminding him of the world's beauty, even amidst pain. Reclaiming life. Lena sat alone in her apartment, a space once filled with the laughter and warmth of her family, now echoing with the remnants of her shattered life. The weight of her grief was palpable, each room a reminder of what she had lost. Each morning was a battle. Lena's body felt heavy with sorrow, her heart burdened by the loss of her son. Finding the strength to get out of bed and face another day was a monumental task, the silence of the apartment a stark contrast to the life it once held. In the mundanity of her daily routine, Lena found small comforts. The simple act of brewing a cup of tea or tending to the plants she had long neglected offered brief respites from her pain. These moments, though fleeting, provided a semblance of normalcy. Maya, Lena's best friend, became a pillar of support during these trying times. Her regular visits were a lifeline for Lena, offering moments of connection and understanding. Their conversations, often filled with tears and laughter, were heartfelt and healing. Maya's presence was a reminder that Lena was not alone in her journey through grief. To distract herself, Lena threw herself into her work with a fervor. Her administrative duties, once routine, now became a refuge, a place where she could lose herself in tasks and deadlines, even if just for a few hours. Seeking further support, Lena began attending a grief support group. Surrounded by others who had experienced loss, she found solace in their shared stories. Initially hesitant, Lena gradually opened up, sharing her own experiences and listening to the wisdom of those around her. In the support group, Lena met Dr. Harper, a woman who had navigated a similar path of loss. Dr. Harper became a mentor, offering guidance and encouraging Lena to embrace her pain. Their conversations were transformative, helping Lena see her grief differently. Physical activities like running and yoga became outlets for Lena. The exertion was cathartic, releasing the pent-up emotions that often threatened to overwhelm her. In these moments of physical challenge, she found brief escapes from her emotional turmoil. Visits to her son's grave were painful yet necessary. Lena would sit for hours, talking to her son, pouring out her heart in tearful conversations. It was here, amidst the memories and the quiet, that she found solace. Gradually, Lena began to accept her pain, understanding that healing was not a linear journey. She experienced moments of strength and resilience, small victories on her path toward building her life. Exploring new hobbies, Lena discovered painting and writing as forms of self-expression. These activities became therapeutic, a way for her to channel her emotions and begin processing her grief. Reflecting on her journey, Lena acknowledged the lessons she had learned. The pain, a constant companion, had shaped her but did not define her. She recognized her power to shape her future despite the scars of her past. Whispers in the wind. The haunting silence of the graveyard lingered as Elias stood before his son's grave. The stillness was punctuated only by the whispers of the wind, carrying with it the echoes of memories and the weight of unspoken words. He lingered there, a solitary figure enveloped in the depths of his grief and regret. This sacred space, where the finality of his son's absence was most palpable, had become a refuge for Elias. Here, amidst the rows of tombstones under the vast expanse of the sky, he lowered himself to confront the full extent of his emotions. His visits had become a ritual, a necessary pilgrimage to connect with the son he had lost and to seek the solace that eluded him elsewhere. Elias's internal struggle was a relentless storm of self-doubt and guilt. The weight of his past actions, his unintended role in the galactic conflict, bore heavily on his conscience. Each visit to the grave brought a mix of pain and clarity, a bitter reminder of the consequences of his scientific pursuits. Amidst the tranquility of the graveyard, Elias's mind often wandered through the labyrinth of his past, the echoes of his scientific achievements now tainted with remorse. The visions of his work, once sources of pride and ambition, now seemed like haunting specters, casting long shadows over his present. Despite the somber atmosphere, Elias was determined to find redemption. He clung to the hope that he could use his scientific knowledge for the betterment of the galaxy. His introspective moments by the grave were filled with plans and possibilities, a testament to his unyielding desire to contribute positively to make amends for the past. Yet, his path to redemption was fraught with obstacles. External pressures from factions seeking to exploit his knowledge were constant reminders of the darker side of his work. Internally, Elias battled his fears and self-doubt, the fear of repeating past mistakes paralyzing him with indecision. With its solemn beauty and serenity, the graveyard offered Elias moments of introspection and reflection. Here, he confronted his limitations and the daunting task of charting a new course for his life. Elias's struggle was solitary, his internal conflicts and doubts playing out in the silence of his surroundings. The chapter maintained a somber tone throughout, reflecting the gravity of his situation. Elias stood up from his son's grave, his heart heavy yet resolute. The graveyard visit had not provided all the answers, but it had offered him a brief respite, a moment of peace amidst the turmoil. He left with a quiet determination, his path still unclear, but his resolve to find redemption stronger than ever. New horizons. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Elias stood at the threshold of the newly inaugurated community center, a symbol of his journey toward redemption. The day had been filled with celebrations, marking the success of the Legacy project, but his mind was elsewhere, lingering on the unexpected encounter with Lena. In the quiet aftermath of the event, Elias reflected on the winding path that had brought him here. The center, bustling with activity just hours ago, now stood serene and silent, mirroring his reflective mood. The project had been a testament to his scientific prowess and a Brigetto healing the wounds of his past. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps approaching. He turned to see Lena. Her presence as familiar as it was surprising. The years apart had changed them both, yet there was an undeniable connection that time had not diminished. They walked together, their conversation a delicate dance of shared memories and discoveries about each other. Each word and glance was a step toward understanding the people they had become. The pain and growth of their time apart had reshaped their relationship into something more profound and nuanced. They discussed their journeys as they strolled through the gardens surrounding the center. Elias spoke of the Legacy project, of how it was more than just a scientific endeavor, it was a channel for his guilt, a way to make amends for the past. Lena shared her journey of self-discovery, of finding her voice through writing, and learning to embrace life in all its complexity. The conversation gradually shifted to what lay ahead. The future was uncertain, a canvas yet to be painted. But there was a shared desire to explore it together, to see where their renewed connection would lead them. It was not a promise of a life without challenges but rather an acknowledgement of their willingness to face those challenges as a team. In the final scene, Elias and Lena stand side by side, watching the stars emerge in the twilight sky. The Legacy project had been Elias's path to redemption, but this moment, this reconnection with Lena, felt like a true beginning. A beginning marked not by grand gestures but by quiet acceptance and the hopeful glimmer of new possibilities. Thank you for listening. If you liked the story, like, share and subscribe to our channel. Best regards. Sod.